What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is not only a beautiful day in Indiana because of the temperatures and the fact that it's Labor Day weekend and I got an extra day off. It's a great day because we are starting on a new project. You guys are looking at my 1960 Wheelhorse Suburban 550. Now this thing would have came new with a 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh engine. Now I don't know a whole lot about this line of tractors. I do know they're very sought after by a lot of the purists and a lot of the actual collectors that are out there. I want to say this line started sometime in 1958 with the RJ and it ended in 1961 with the 551. Now as you guys can see, using me as scale, this is a very small compact tractor and I think that's what makes it so cool. It's got some real neat looking tall skinny ag tires on the back. It's got these real cool looking tractor fenders with the tractor seat. It's very full-size tractor-esque crammed into a small package. Now I picked this up with about 3 other tractors a few months back. It's been sitting out in the tree row waiting for me to get started on it. And I'm looking forward to getting this thing back up and running. Now full disclosure, as I mentioned, this would have came with a 5.5 horsepower Tecumseh. That engine is long gone. It has got, I'm not sure of the horsepower, it's got some Briggs setup engine on it now, and it is locked up tighter than a drum. So I think in this video, we're gonna focus on getting that old engine off, getting a new engine put back on it, something a little bit more reliable. And since it's already not the original engine, I don't have to worry about you purists sending me hate mail. As well as that, we're gonna have to get all the pedals and linkages freed up. Pretty much everything besides the steering is locked up on this. It does roll, the rear end seems to be working. If I put it in gear, it stops moving. But yeah, the fuel cap seized on, clutch pedal, brake pedal, all that stuff seized up. So as well as doing that, we're gonna do something about the tires. So enough talking, let's go ahead and get started on this. Yeah, like I said, this little Briggs engine, that thing is locked up tight. This here is our clutch pedal. That's also locked up. I'm sure all this linkage here going to the brake and all that good stuff, the clutch, I'm sure it's all locked up. It is cool to see this original belt cover still on this. That's pretty cool. But I think to start with, we're gonna figure out how to get this off and we're gonna get this whole engine ripped out of here. Well, I picked about the worst time to run out of WD-40. Look at that cute little belt. Now I'm hoping I can get this engine off without having to pull this hood. And the reason why I don't want to pull this hood is that it appears the only way to get it off completely is to get the steering wheel pulled off. And there is one roll pin that appears to hold the steering wheel to the steering shaft, and it's locked up, very rusted in there. So I'd rather not go down that road until we absolutely have to. I eventually want to because the factory fuel tank is up here and I'd like to use it for our new engine. Okay, well, I guess that's what we're gonna do now. I can't really see to get in there and you guys can't see either. So yeah, as much as I didn't wanna tackle this now, I guess we're going to. Let's get this hood off. So there's a roll pin they use to hold these steering wheels on, and they're notorious for rusting in place. But I did buy me a set of roll pin punches. These are different. The camera will zoom. They've actually got a nipple on the end of them that will prevent the roll pin from caving in on itself. So I got a nice set of these. Got that pretty hot. Let's smack it a few times and hopefully it's going to move. Harbor Freight, if you happen to be watching this video, please spend the extra 25 cents a set and put lock nuts on these pullers. I am so tired of these things falling apart in my hands because the nuts fall off. Pain in the butt. See what I mean? Lock nuts. There's some kind of weird fastener down here on the front of this hood. The sides are loose, but I don't know what that is. Well, there's quite a bit of cussing involved off video, getting these old rusty C's choke cables and throttle cables unhooked. But I think this hood's finally ready to come off here now. At least I hope so. Okay, there we go. And there's our fuel tank. Look at that old sediment bowl, ain't that cool? This little engine should come right off here now. This thing had a sleeve hitch on the back of it. That's what this cable is here. It's rigged up to the old deck lift attachment. That runs back here to this hitch. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. Yeah, that cable, it's not hooked up right now. It looks like they unhooked it and bypassed it. But it would have ran and it would have hooked up right here. But I'm definitely going to see about hooking that back up because that's pretty neat. There is no grease zerk on this, but it's got a tiny little oiling hole on top of this pedal. Oh yeah. That's much better. You guys look back here, the top of this S-cam, that is what pulls on your brake band. So it looks like that's working too. It might need to be adjusted. Okay, so on to the fun stuff. Let's talk about engine selection. Some of you may recognize this engine. This is actually my Predator 224 that I bought. Oh, it's been over a year ago now. Whenever we did the comparison video between the Kohler, the 212, 224, and it has been sitting on my shelf ever since. And I've been itching to find a home for it because I'm tired of looking at it. So it's just your run-of-the-mill standard pull start. I think it's still rated at 6.5 horsepower, but this is the 224 max performance. From what I understand, the bolt pattern on these Predators, these 212s, is identical to what is on that tractor. So I'm anxious to see. Hopefully we won't have to drill any holes in the frame, but who knows. Now to me, it'd be kind of boring just to stick this thing on and rock out. So like I had mentioned, I would really like to try to get that factory fuel tank cleaned up and use it with the sediment bowl. If we do that, we're going to be removing this fuel tank. Probably also going to remove the factory air box. We'll get an aftermarket one to put on it. And what I'm most excited about is this kit right here. So this is from BMI Carts, but it's their build your own header kit. And it comes with the flange you're going to need and a bunch of different bends and stuff, different cutoff pieces, so you can design and build your own. So we're going to try to put a pretty cool exhaust on this, and should turn out pretty sweet. So let's see if this thing fits. It ain't looking too promising. Yeah, I mean, it fits, but it doesn't fit. Let's get to removing this factory stuff, and we'll try this again. Oh man, like a glove. Look at all that clearance. Yeah, we got plenty of room for the shifter. We'll have plenty of room for our air filter adapter coming off here. Plenty of room for our exhaust. Yeah, that looks really good. I know this will be hard for you guys to see on camera, but if you look right at the tip of my finger, that's the engine mounting flange, and you can see daylight underneath of it. And you go across to this one, and it is the same deal. We got daylight. So yeah, the internet actually didn't lie this go around. But while we're waiting on parts to show up, there's a couple issues I do want to address. So this is, I guess, what you'd call the hood stand and the steering column. You guys can see these wing mounts over here. This is what the side of the hood actually bolts to. When I took it apart, the driver's side one was still attached, but this passenger side one was not. And this is why. Looks like the welds have broke. Someone tried putting a screw in it to hold it together. For now, it's bent down out of the way. So I want to take this hood stand off, fabricate up some new standoffs for the hood. Also on this side, you can see this one's also cracked. Same deal, someone's put a screw in it to hold it, and it's got a pretty good bow in it. So it doesn't look too complicated to take this off, We're gonna get it off, straighten that out, see if we can't fabricate up a couple new hood mounts. It's always fun working on something for the first time, trying to figure out how it comes apart. Yep, if you guys see that plate right there, it says wheel horse serial number, but I can't read an actual serial number on it. Well, I know it ain't perfect, but it's a far cry better than what it was. Well, the new hood stand is looking killer on there, guys. Before we go mounting the engine, I do want to try to get this attachment lift cable unseized or just get out of the way for now. Since the engine's going to sit directly on top of it, this would be as good as time as any. I've got to get this clevis off down here, and this tab, that tab right there is just putting pressure down on the cable to hold it in place. So I believe it's seized up. I want to get the cable off. We'll soak in some PB Blaster and see if we can't get it freed up. I cannot believe that came out. I've got to be honest, this thing put up a lot less of a fight than I expected. I just kind of went through and worked the cable around, and it popped loose. So I've got it soaking in some PB Blaster. I'm gonna keep working this back and forth. Make sure we got it good and freed up before I put it back on. Sweet. Well, we're making pretty good progress. I've got the engine bolted down for good. But before we can go putting the hood back on, we've got to address a couple issues. First one being the fuel tank. I did a little work off camera. I went ahead and got it pulled off the hood. And it appears it's had a couple repairs on it already. So I'm hopeful it's still going to hold fluid. I don't know. The issue I got right now is the sediment bowl is actually seized to this. So I'm trying to get that popped loose. Surprisingly enough, I did manage to get the fuel cap unseized, so that's good. The other issue is the cables. So this is the factory throttle cable here, and I know that because it says so, but it's seized up solid. The cable is very short on the end. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this thing work. So what I might do in the meantime is reuse the old choke cable. This one, surprisingly, is not seized up, but it doesn't have the right knob on it. I know it's not perfect, but I kind of just want to get this thing up and working, and we'll worry about the details later. I have ever so gently been tapping on this with a screwdriver, and I think we finally got it broke loose. Still a little sticky. I did soak this in some PB Blaster overnight. I don't know if that would help or not, but you really can't take vice grips to a piece of glass. Come on, don't tear the O-ring. Ah, it tore. I feel like that ain't seen the light of day in a minute. Sorry for the camera being shaky, but if you guys can see that patch job someone did in the past is no longer patching, so we're gonna have to figure something else out on this tank. You know, I've been looking at this for a minute, and at first I thought somebody just put a bunch of goop on this to seal it up, and I started picking at it, and what this actually is, somebody has brazed this or soldered this on here. Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been a good idea to try to solder that anyway, as dirty as everything is. So let me clean all this up, see if I can't reconnect this a little bit better. All right, guys, wish me luck. I'm gonna try to resolder this. Well, it looks a lot better, but I don't know. I guess we'll put some water to it and see if it's watertight. Guys, I bet it took 6 tries to get this thing to actually be watertight. Talk about a pain in the butt, but I stuck through it. I believe it's watertight. It's been sitting out about 10 minutes. The fuel bowl itself's leaking because I got to get a fitting for this. The needle valve ain't sealing up all the way. But yeah, up here at the top, I think we're gonna be okay. Well, here's where we're at on the fuel tank. I ran up to Napa, got me a couple new fittings. Hopefully this thing doesn't leak. I also found an extra O-ring in my stash that seems to fit this pretty good. Again, I don't know if it's gonna work. Worst case, if it doesn't work, we're gonna bypass this completely and we'll put the barb straight in the fuel tank instead. But hopefully this works because it's pretty neat. Well, quick little update. I got the hood set back down on here just to kind of check the fitment with my new hood stand. These are lining up perfect, so I can go ahead and get those drilled out and get some holes tapped for the bolts. We also need to do something about this front hood mount, and if you remember, this thing had like a funky looking mounting piece on it. I thought it was something special, but all it was a piece of scrap somebody used as a washer, since the bottom of the hood, move that around, you can see how that bottom of the section of the hood's broke out. Now, if I was doing a restoration, I would just cut that piece out, weld in a new one, and be done with it. But for now, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut me a piece of metal and make a better washer to hold the hood down. All right, I think we're ready to put the hood on for hopefully the last time. Well, we've only got a couple more boring things to do before we can move on to something fun. I've got to get this new fuel line ran, and we have got to get the throttle cable somewhat hooked up and routed and all that good stuff. I doubt you guys will be able to see a whole lot of this, so don't yell at me, I tried. Hey, look at that. We got throttle now. Well, I think that's going to do it for the fuel line and the throttle cable. The only thing I'm worried about, the fitting coming out of that sediment bowl, is just slightly lower than this curve right here. There's a pass-through in that hood stand. Hopefully it'll be okay. We'll just have to wait and see. Who knows, that sediment bowl might still be leaking, but we've got it ran, clamps on both sides. The old throttle cable, working great. Well, while I was over here on this side of the engine, I went ahead and got our air filter adapter put on. And I know this is totally a clash of colors, but I had this stuff in stock, so that's what I'm going to use for now. I imagine it'll get to the point where I can't stand it and I'll have to change it, but it'll do for now. And I mean, just being honest with you guys, I would much rather run the stock airbox on this thing, but unfortunately there is not enough room. Well, we are moving right down the line here of getting stuff done. My new pulley showed up. This is straight off Amazon. I believe 2.5 inch, the same size as the factory pulley. However, the 29-inch belt I ordered was too short. So I think the issue is the crankshaft height on this engine is slightly higher than the original Briggs. I got a 30-inch belt here. It should be what we need. And there we go. I'm gonna check my part stash. I think I've got a bolt to put in the end of this crankshaft, keep the pulley from sliding off. But strangely enough, guys, even this factory belt cover bolts right onto this engine. I'm probably gonna take it back off and try to get some of these dents and dings out of it. And who knows, maybe I'll paint it. Well, while we're waiting on some paint to dry on that belt cover, because I could not stand seeing it not be painted, let's go ahead and see if we can't tackle this exhaust. Now, this is a pretty nice kit from BMI Carts. Comes with a variety of elbows. I think I've got me a layout I want to do. And to be honest, guys, it's going to be too hard for me to try to explain every little thing I'm doing. So I'm going to set y'all up on a time lapse, and you guys can watch me struggle with this. Well, we got the first piece of the puzzle done here. The welds ain't too terrible. Yeah, it's just a matter of putting some more pieces on the end of this, and we'll be done. I am thrilled with how good this exhaust turned out. I went over the wells with a flap disc, trying to blend them in a little bit. I think it turned out pretty good, guys. You guys have to tell me what you think. I was stuck between either going this route, going up, or going out and up, or going down and back. But I feel like this route's going to be probably the best. I started thinking about my son, him climbing on and off this thing, having that hot exhaust down, he'd probably burn his legs. So at least this way, it's up and out and away. And I think it kind of looks like a old tractor exhaust. You guys have to tell me. But now I'm on to the next dilemma, which is figuring out an exhaust mount. These Predator engines, they shake pretty bad, and it may look solid now, but this thing will just get to vibrating, and eventually it'll crack the welds on the flange, and we don't want that. So this is what I got so far. I've got me a piece of 1-inch flat bar bent up. I'm going to drill a hole, and we are going to use the hood mounting bolt to bolt this to the body of the tractor. So that'll be sitting there about like so. And then I've also got some, I think this is 1/4 inch round rod. Yeah, pretty much gonna make my own exhaust clamp. So I'll cut some threads on this, and this will run up through that bracket I just showed you, and it will squeeze the exhaust pipe to this exhaust hanger. I don't know, I think it'll look pretty good, and didn't cost me anything, just some leftover material. All right, guys, I got my homemade U-bolt finished up. Got my 1/4x20 threads cut in it. I got my bracket put on here. So it should practically fall together. Well, I got the old belt cover out of the paint booth, and by that I mean picked it up off the coat hanger it was hanging off of drying. We're gonna go and get this put back on, and I'll tell you what, after that, we're running down the list here. Well, I have put it off as long as I can. Unfortunately, it is time to do tires. Now, unfortunately, these rear tires are actually in pretty good shape, but the wheels themselves are not. Oh no, they're filled with water or antifreeze. Oh man, that's gonna be a mess. I doubt you guys can hear that sloshing around in there. God, it's no wonder this thing's so heavy. Well, that's gonna be interesting. Well, this is as good as time as any to go ahead and change the oil on this transaxle. Everything I read online, this 3-piece design transaxle, there is no dedicated drain plug. I'm pretty sure all you do is take one of the side mounting bolts out, and that acts as the drain hole. I might be wrong on that. And as far as a fill port, there is one supposed to be somewhere up in this area, but I was reading online, what guys will do is they'll take the seat mounting bolts out of the top of the transaxle. So you've got a vent and you've got a fill hole right there. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh my. That is straight water, guys. Still going. Oh, now we're getting some oil, a little bit. Oh, mostly still water. Man, I've been just striking out lately. If you guys watched the last video, we had a milkshake on that 416. Man, that is some nasty looking stuff. Well, I'm gonna let that continue to drain out whatever funk's inside of there. And man, I wish I had some diesel fuel because this would be a great time to try to rinse that out. But I don't know, gear oil ain't too expensive. We'll let that finish draining. I'll put the plug back in and we'll go ahead and put our fresh gear oil in. I mean, anything's gotta be better than whatever that is. Well, while that diff's still draining out all that old nasty sludge, I am working on our tire debacle right now. So being that these are antifreeze filled, water filled, whatever they are, I really don't feel like messing with them. It's going to be a hell of a mess, and you're talking about a lot of work for not so great tires. So I was thinking I'll just take these two here. These are the ones off that 416. This one over here has got a tube in it and it seems to be airtight. This one definitely needs a tube. It's flat and I've got a tube to put in it. However, I noticed that the sidewall is blowed out here. So even with the tube, that's probably not going to hold. It's eventually going to blow that out. So they got me looking elsewhere. Out here in the old Dragging Up junkyard, I have got this old tractor here. I think it's a B80, B100. I'm not too sure. You guys have to tell me if you know. But anyway, it's got a decent set of ag tires on the back, which I think would look good on that little Suburban. However, before I go through the effort of dragging this thing up to the shop to get the back wheels off of it, I want to make sure that these are somewhat airtight. Now, I could drag 200 foot of airline out here and hook onto these to air them up. However, this seems like a great time to try out a new product a company sent me. This is GOOLOO's dual purpose tire inflator / battery bank. And if you guys remember right, a while back, GOOLOO actually sent me one of their jump packs, which I love. I keep that thing in the toolbox of the truck all the time. So they said, hey, we've got a tire inflator now. Do you want to try it out? So here we are. I got to say, it's got a very nice ergonomic feel to it. It feels like good quality. It's got a very nice screen. It's got this protective cover on it. That's why it looks kind of funky. But yeah, we're going to try this thing out. And what better torture test than a completely flat, old ag tire. Guys, I'm actually pretty impressed with this thing. That was probably less than a minute to put 15 PSI in this tire. Guys, I'm really impressed with this little thing. I think this is going to be an awesome addition to the toolbox on the truck. As you guys know, I do take care of quite a few yards, and there's nothing worse than having to stop what I'm doing to come home to fix a flat tire, or if I need to jump start something, GOOLOO's got me fixed up on all that. I also just want to add that this does charge with the USB-C, just like your iPhone, and it has got power out if you need to charge your phone or some other accessory. If you guys are interested in getting one of these things, the affiliate link for this will be in the description. Just go down there and check it out, and who knows, you might want to buy one. Well, all the reading I've done online about these things is that it should take about 1.5 quarts of whatever fluid I guess you decide to use. Some guys are saying to use straight 40 weight, other guys said 80-90. I'm going to use 80-90 gear oil because that's what I've got in stock. And I've got about 1.5 quarts here, so let's get this dumped in. Well, let's go ahead and do something about these front wheels. Now, like I mentioned, these are not the factory front wheels. This is just a set somebody put on here. They got a big nut as a spacer. Hell, that washer just came off there. These are held on with a snap ring. I did get the original wheels that came on this thing, but they are absolutely destroyed. The wheels themselves are rotten. They're just not even worth trying to reuse. But I did find a good, cheap aftermarket alternative. Now, these came straight from the good old Harbor Freight. If you guys want to scan that there, the 56181, that is the SKU that you would need to order a set of these. They are the exact same tire size as factory, and yeah, they look pretty good. Unfortunately, they are black. I'd rather them be white, but you know, what can you do? These do come with adapters to make them work on either the 5/8 axle or a 1/2 inch. I'm pretty sure those are 1/2 inch spindles. There we go. Yeah, I was way off. These are 3/4 inch spindles, which I think that's what those are. I don't know where I got 1/2 inch from. But yeah, either way, we should have everything we need to make those work on these spindles. Now, unfortunately, that does mean we're not going to be able to use them nice bearings. We'll have to use these actual bushings. Again, not a big deal. Most lawnmowers made today don't even have bearings in the front wheels. It's all bushings. But I'm pretty sure if I decide to get sweaty with it, I'm sure I could track down a bearing that would fit this diameter of wheel with a 3/4 inch inside diameter. So if we decide to get serious with this tractor, I could obviously upgrade it. But to help out with not having a bearing, I'm gonna grease this spindle because these wheels do not have grease zerks. But for $27 a piece, guys, I'm not gonna get too worked up about it. And I'm sure we're still gonna need to make up some distance. As you guys can see, we got quite a bit of space there. Well, this is my solution, guys. I made some spacers to put on them spindles to space them wheels out properly. And I made these from none other than cutoffs from that exhaust kit I bought. So definitely get my money's worth out of it. So I think what we'll do is we'll do the spacer first, then the wheel, then the other spacer, then the washer, and then our snap ring. I'd say that'll work just fine, guys. Before I go putting these other wheels on here, I do want to go through and clean these threads up on these hubs. I got crap coming out of there. Okay, I think we're finally ready to put our new meat hooks on this thing. These wheels are in a lot better shape. Oh, and the tires ain't too bad either. Well, I'm finishing up the final checklist here. These Predator engines, they call for, I think, 16 ounces of 10W30 is what they want you to run in them. So, got that measured out, got this dumped in. Guys, I think all we got to do is put gas in it. We can try to start this thing. Well, guys, let's go ahead and dump some gas in this thing, and hopefully that fuel bowl, I always forget what those things are called. You know what I'm talking about. Hopefully that's not leaking. I did find an O-ring in my stash that appears to be the right size, so we're gonna dump some fuel in there. I'd get you guys down in here, but there's really not a whole lot of room. Oh no, it is pouring gas out. Well guys, I know it's leaking gas at multiple places. I don't care, I wanna hear this thing run. So full disclosure, I did buy this engine new, but it was on the clearance rack. It was a return. So it should start relatively easy. I guess we'll find out. Yes. It is extremely loud. All the gears seem to be working. I had reverse. I went to first. I think this is a 3-speed with reverse. Oh man. This is such a neat little tractor. Of course it's stupid loud with this stack on it, but who cares? I feel like as light as this thing is, I could probably pull a wheelie with it pretty easy. Considering there's no weight in the front end. What do you think, guys? Man, this is a neat little tractor. Well, I know there's a lot wrong with it still. I know it's still leaking gas. I know that blue air filter over there looks hideous. It's also in the way of the clutch pedal. There's a lot of imperfections, but yet it's perfect in its own way. I'm not kidding you. I started this project about 4 days ago, and I've been thrashing trying to stay on schedule and get it done for you guys. I'm absolutely leaving the door open for possibilities in the future. You guys have to tell me what you think. Put down in the comments if you like the way it looks now. I could try putting some of that wipe-on clear coat on it to preserve it, or I could also tear it apart and actually restore it. I don't know. You guys tell me. But before this thing completely runs out of gas from sitting here, I better go ahead and finish this outro up. So again, I appreciate all you guys for taking your time out of your day to watch this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It greatly helps the channel. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to it. We'll see you guys on the next one.